Hey, you guys, happy January, or whenever you're listening to this. But I'm recording this in January of 2024 as we are kickstarting this incredible new year. And I don't know about y'all, if you've gotten this vibe or feeling yet, we're a couple weeks in now when I'm recording this. And I know a lot of the times, between the holidays and the new year and getting back settled in, it can actually take like a week or two before we're like, okay, now I'm ready to like really get after my goals. So whether you've been getting after them or you're going to start right now or you're going to start in 2 weeks or whenever it is, or you've been getting after your goals, there is just no matter what, where you're at, there is this energy that I have felt for 2024. Like 2023, for a lot of people, what I've been hearing, not just professionally and in business, but also personally, is 2023 kind of knocked a lot of people kind of like, I picture like kind of like, shot to the knees where you're like, oh God, and you like fall to the ground. I feel like 2023 cut a lot of people off at the knees to where they fell down at the knees. It wasn't like COVID years where maybe people were just like completely falling off and like, this whole big crazy change. It was just like kind of cutting people at the knees to where they weren't fully hitting their goals. There was like things happened, like personally, professionally, like internally. That was a really big, like, growth year as far as internally growing to be able to now in this year of 2024 to be like, okay, fucking, I'm on my feet. I've got my bearings back. I learned those lessons and I am stronger than ever before. Like, watch me. If you've listened to my last couple episodes, you know that's like my energy going into this year in general is this like, watch me type energy. And I am just like, I'm just feeling that. I'm feeling that buzz coming through for this year. So I just want to offer that to you guys. Listen to any of the back episodes, but in general, hopefully this episode too is going to help you start your year around your health and fitness goals and give you some insights of like what's really buzzing right now and has been buzzing. I'm not saying this is like totally new concepts, but these are trends that have been trending, meaning you've heard about them, some of them before, but now it's just really like, yes, this is it. Like these are literally things that have been trending enough to be like, it's not a myth. It's not like, oh, maybe we should do these or like, wouldn't it be nice? Like, this is like, y'all, let's get on the fucking train and watch out because if we're going to hit our health and fitness goals, like these are definitely some of the trends and things you want to consider if you did not already know about them. Okay. So let's dive in. I have 7 here. Okay. So these are 7 trends in the health and fitness industry that I have been seeing. And again, it's not just like they popped up, 3 weeks ago, right before the new year. It's things that I've consistently heard over and over and over on podcasts, in books, gosh, where else? Research papers that have been coming out. I am constantly, so that is where I get these from. This is not just like, oh, like this is a thing I saw on Instagram. This is like, this is my industry. This is my field. Y'all see the books behind me if you're watching this on YouTube. I am avidly reading and eating up all the new what's coming as far as research goes, as far as books goes. I'm also my own experience, my own transformations. So I'm even digging further. And then what's getting me results, what's getting my clients results when they have a sticking point for me to do that extra work to find out, okay, what is where we stuck at, right? And themes that have come up with them. So that is how I have come to these 7 trends. Okay. So let's dive in. So the first one, this one is probably, I put it first because it is like everywhere and you've probably heard it before, but I want you to like, again, I want you to hear it. Okay. Don't just make this be one of those things where like, yeah. Like, I know I should eat more vegetables. Okay. Moving on. Like, I'm not doing it, but moving on. And you're like, why am I not getting new results? Like, why aren't things changing in my life? And you're like, still eating the crap and not eating your vegetables, right? So hear me on these things and implement at least one of them, if not a few of them. Maybe you start with one and get that down, and then you move on to the next one, or you explore a couple at a time. But do not just let these go into the like filing box for like, great, I just heard some information. Okay. Number one is protein, is eating more protein or eating enough protein. Okay. The amount of studies, of research, of books, of other professionals that I collaborate with on and even aspire to, yeah, we need to be eating more protein. And especially, this goes in two different ways. This is for my people trying to lose the weight. Like if you're trying to lose weight and you are not, then check in on your protein. Okay. And I'm going to share what my suggestion for that is, just a really basic, like kind of starting at the baseline or just in general to consider. And then this is also like for someone like myself who's already an athlete and working out, my goal is to gain muscle this year, right? And how I'm going to gain a shit ton of muscle is more protein or keeping an eye on my protein. I already generally do eat a good amount of protein, but now we're going to eat some more. So this is for my people trying to lose weight or my people honestly trying to gain muscle and gain weight in that way and like build more muscle, right? As athletes. So this is just all the way around. Check in on yourself. Are you eating enough protein? And what this looks like, that how this looks is 1 gram per body weight. Honest, you see 0.8 to 1 gram per body weight. And then, depending on who you are in your activity, there's a lot of there's factors that could go into that. But let's just like keep it super simple. Okay. Let's just not even go into all that. And all across the board, what I've seen that you could generally count on is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Okay. So start there. Well, I want to say this. If you have been eating like maybe like 20 grams of protein a day and and you weigh 200 pounds, okay, you do not have to go from 20 grams to 200 grams, right? My whole approach when I work with clients is I'm not just like, oh, well, let's get you to, 6 workouts in a week and you've been doing nothing and you've got to eat this way. And no. Like start where you are. Okay. So always consider that. Maybe your first step is simply to eat 20 grams of protein in each meal. Maybe that's a good start for you, right? But if you've already been eating some protein and you're eating 20 grams of protein each meal and you've like been thinking that's been good enough, but you're still not hitting your goals, whether for weight loss or weight gains, okay, then check in and really see, do you need to make that 30 grams of protein each meal? Or what I do, and so I'll share the way this can look a lot. So again, 30 grams, that could be like 30 grams breakfast, lunch, dinner. That becomes your new goal. So that's 90 grams, right? I don't think most of us weigh 90 pounds, but you start to get the idea, right? So one way that I add in extra protein in my day is, well, one, it's a very protein focused meal. So say eggs, I usually have 1 to 2 regular eggs with the yolk, and then I dump in some egg whites, or I just crack open and just simply put the egg whites in to like pack on the protein, because that's where the protein is in the egg, is in the whites. So I make a big old, it's a lot of food. Egg white or, majority egg white scramble. I'll have a protein shake with that. Or I might have a 20 grams of protein yogurt with some fruit and a little gluten-free granola on that. So that might be my breakfast, which has, I don't use a macro tracker, by the way, or like I generally know a lot of what's in things, but I am keying in to like, all right, this yogurt is 20 grams. I know these eggs is probably about 25 grams of protein. So I'm probably sitting somewhere around 50 in the end of the day with that one meal, right? So essentially what I'm saying is there's ways you can add on these little protein add-ons to, say, your normal meal, either by adding in some more egg whites, right, with your breakfast meal. That could also be a lot of the times like bagels. I get the Killer Dave's bagels. Those have more protein and fiber than just a regular plain cinnamon raisin or plain white bagel. I don't get those. I get the Dave's because those have fiber in them and they have at least, I think it's 6 grams of protein. So you take that plus some cream cheese, and you're probably sitting around 12 grams of protein for that, maybe with a protein shake. That could be 30 grams plus of protein, right? So you're looking for little ways to add in that protein that doesn't have to mean like, oh, I can't have a bagel anymore. No, just switch the one that you're having, right? Or have a protein shake on top of your normal meal. So you can hit that 50 grams instead of just 20 or 30 grams, right? Or maybe your post workout is now you have a protein shake plus, whatever else you would have post workout, right? So you start, or a lot of times like before bed, I'll have a protein shake maybe with a little light bowl of cereal or something like that, like as my little snack. So there's ways that you can really add and beef up your protein in your day. Okay, I'm going to get off those examples, but you guys, you start to see, right? All these ways. And this is so important. I'm not going to go deep into the science of it because that's all the things that I listen to all day long. And it's just in general, it's like a known out there. But y'all, for weight loss or weight gains, if you're like wanting to gain weight as an athlete, this is where you need to be. Okay. Let's go ahead and eat some more protein this year. Okay. 1 gram per pound of body weight. All right. Okay. Good. All right. Number 2, second trend is, I'm going to go with this one next. The second trend is strength training. And specifically, I'm going to say here for women. Again, if y'all don't know, that is one of my major goals this year, but that is not why I'm saying this as a trend. It's because I had some clients that are going through perimenopause or menopause. And so as I'm researching what are the things that can help with them, or that were struggling in their weight loss and the weight wasn't coming off, and I started to look in and see like what is going on here? Like how can we get like unstuck from where they are and to keep losing weight? And what really came up here, so again, this is one of those things where you're like, well, okay, you've probably heard of strength training for weight loss or just strength training in general, but hear me, okay? Don't just do nothing about it. And I want to give like a caveat to that as far as like thinking you should just like go join a gym and start strength training. If you hate it, just hold on a second and I'll give you some ideas on how this can look. But strength training, it is so important and powerful. The more that I've been listening to the research, to the podcast, to the other professionals out there and especially as I get older, like I'm 38, going to be 39 this year. And I have goals of my strength training for my personal goals of getting my best body ever, which includes more strength training. But I'm thinking about that going into my 40s. When I'm looking at people who haven't been strength training in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s, I mean, the amount, I'm thinking more like an adult, I guess, as far as like, and not just like I can race and train and do all the things I want to do and just get away with it. Like, we could when we were younger. But, and then looking at it through the lens of menopause, for us women, especially the benefits that strength training brings to that. And then for weight loss, again, especially for women, just because more women do not tend to lift heavy enough or lift at all. It's been a fabulous, amazing difference in the last 5, maybe even 10 years, like as far as that goes, but it's still not enough. So, because men tend to generally, they're going to the gym, they're lifting the weights, like, right? That's like a very bro type, like I'm stereotyping here, but it is like, you're going to see probably more men in the lifting area. I've been in the gym for 20 years now. And even I see it, right? Sometimes I'm the only fucking chick there, right? So just really, really, but for any of us, strength training, it's something we need as we age 110%. It's something we need for hormone health, which AKA, guess what? Affects our weight, right? Or affects our muscle gains, affects so much our bone density mass, like all of these things that I feel like, again, if my younger version was like, yeah, okay, like, no, but really, I just want to like win races, or I just want to race and have fun and do these workouts. And oh my gosh, I have to get this. And so for that, like, you don't really think about it as much. But now as I see people aging and so hard to lose the weight if they haven't been strength training, or so hard to get gains, or I mean, just like the failure of the body if there isn't strength training, or not being able to do things. So I'm going to get off my horse there, but strength training, y'all. And so what I want to offer in this way though, because this is, again, I don't just say to my clients, hey, guess what? You joined for my coaching. So now you're going to start strength training no matter what you like or enjoy. That is not how I roll. So hear me out on how this can look. Is if you are just getting started into working out, into health and fitness, and or getting back to it, right? Wherever you're at, like, I still want you to start with movement you enjoy, because that you will do consistently. If I tell you to go lift weights 2 or 3 times a week and you fucking hate being in the gym and it's intimidating, it's embarrassing, it's like you want nothing, it brings you no joy, you're not going to do it, right? Like, so I want you to still start, if you're starting at bare bottom base bones, like not even working out right now and you can't even stay consistent with something you know, I want you to find something you love and start there. And once you build that up for 3 to 6 months to where that's a healthy habit, then start to consider adding in some strength training. Okay. And when you add in strength training, even if you're like, okay, I am ready. Like, I hear you, Samantha, I've been thinking about it. I'm ready to do it. All right. Start small and make it an experiment. Okay. So maybe you add in 1 day of strength training a week. Okay. Maybe you add in 2 days, but they're 10 minutes at the end of your run each day, right? So find a way that it can work for you. If you don't, generally, you're not like a gym goer, you don't like going to the gym, or you don't know what you're doing, hire a trainer for just 1 day, okay? Or ask the gym attendant there, say, hey, like I've had this gym membership and I don't really know what I'm doing, but I really want to start strength training. Could you kind of like show me around some machines or around the weight area? Go with someone. Ask a friend, somebody who's already lifting and works out like that, that to take you with and just get comfortable, like being in the gym like that, in that area, right? Pick up some weights. You don't even have to do the exercise. Just get a little more comfortable. Find a friend to go with, right? And as far as the programming go, if you're like, well, I don't even know like what the heck to do for a strict training routine, then you can there's tons, right? There's I have some couple of vetted sources on YouTube. You can message me if you want those sources. You can DM me or email me, whatever, however you want to get in touch with me, and I'll share those resources. There's apps, obviously. I'm a big fan of Sally McRae's strength training, or Nick Bare's strength training and playbook. I think that's $100 a year, or you can do a month to month with that. You can search different YouTube people that you would like. You could ask your local trainer to just make you a plan. You do it once, you only see them once a month. There's a lot of different options of how this could look to start to get into strength training. Okay. So don't get too intimidated by it. Don't think it's all or nothing where you're like, well, if I don't do 3 days a week and 40 minutes and all those crazy lifts that people are doing, or I don't like doing that, you may have to try some different gyms. You may have to try some different programs. You may have to try some different trainers. It's an experiment, okay? This is when you allow yourself to be like, oh, wow, I tried that trainer. That was shitty. moving on. Or I tried this app and that's not really resonating. I don't really like this person. Boop, moving on. Keep trying the things until you find what does work. Y'all, if you haven't been strength training or you're like new to this, or you've kind of half-assy kind of tried it, it might take you 6 months to a year to 2 years to really get comfortable and find this. But I'm saying, like, just start now and start to add it in some way, shape, or form, how that can look for you, and then keep progressing. Okay. All right. Number 3 is mental health. And yes, I put this as absolutely a trend in health and fitness, because if we don't have our mental health, and our physical habits affect our mental health, right? But if we do not have our mental health, then we are not able to do the workouts that we want to do and achieve the health and fitness goals that we want to achieve. And I'm sure you guys have seen it, but there's absolutely been a trend more towards mental health, not just being this like, well, like something under the rug that maybe we should, not talk about really in public or with our friends, or, is like very cliche. Like if you have a therapist or a counselor or a coach like that, it's kind of like, oh yeah, just my mental health. Like, and it's like, no, we're not doing that anymore. Not in 2024 and not moving forward. There's absolutely been a trend to incorporate, to shout out, to freely start to take care of our mental health as well as our physical health. And guess what? When you move your body and when you have healthy habits, it will absolutely 110% affect your mental health. Okay. So I just wanted to put that one out there, as far as like, this is a time where we can get coaches, counselors, therapists, all of the above, like really getting the inner work support that we need, that is stopping us from going after the big goals and dreams that we have. Like, that is just as much of a priority these days, and should be, included even, I think. You get that in my coaching programs, as far as in my one-on-one coaching, you get that with me here. And it's something that, like, they go hand in hand, right? Like if you're depressed, you're anxious, you're worried, you're stressed, your mental health is low, you ain't going for the fucking PR and the like going to the new gym, or going to go run the ultra, right? I mean, some of us maybe still like do those things, but like in general, like you would want to come to a better level of mental health to then feel like more comfortable to go after those goals. So mental health is included and is a part of just overall health and fitness moving forward. That is absolutely something we are going to see more and more of, if you're not seeing it already. And that is really like becoming more of like, hey, this is okay. And not only is it not okay, but it's like, it's a part of how we actually get better and grow. Okay. Number 4 is back to more tangible: supplements. So, of course, supplements have always been around in this industry, so many different ones, right? But here are 3 supplements specifically that I wanted to speak to, as far as in this world, that are trending. Number 1 is electrolytes. If you have not heard about, seen, or been talked to about electrolytes as far as like health and fitness goes, you might have been under a rock this year or this last couple years. But electrolytes is now something, well, gosh, I started taking them quite literally when I started doing ultra marathons 10 years ago, but it was very much a like ultra marathon thing. I feel like then, versus the last 3 years, maybe. Yeah, I really feel like it's been the last 2 to 3 years where all of a sudden you start to see electrolytes mainstream, the Element, or LMNT, as have always said. There's Ultima as a brand that I've used. There's Bare Performance Nutrition has a can of electrolytes. There's quite a few different reputable companies out there with the electrolytes. I would just make sure to check, like, how much are you actually getting? And you definitely want something sugar-free, right? If you need fuel, that's a whole nother conversation. But overall, electrolytes are here to stay and are something, if you have not been incorporating in, not necessarily like in your specific workout, but in your day to day. I literally have electrolytes 5 to 6 out of 7 days. Like generally I have it most days, basically. Like it's a absolute part of my normal day-to-day routine now. I generally have it during my workout, but sometimes I'll have it, I don't know, just throughout my day or like switching up from my water to some electrolytes for my lunch or supper if it's like a not workout day. But these are here to stay, and they help with fatigue, they help with recovery, they help with cravings, urges and cravings for more like carb and sugar things. They help sustain your workouts so you don't bonk as much. There's so many benefits to using electrolytes. So definitely something you want to look into and check out. And again, you can message me, DM me, and I'll give you my 2 cents. I should just make a full-blown PDF or something on this. Second supplement is magnesium. And this is something that this has been more, I feel like the last year, maybe 2 years. It's been around a long time, but I feel like more mainstream is it coming to be like in these nutrition and health books. You're seeing professionals speak to it more and more and more. And really because sleep, it helps us to sleep better and to recover better. So a lot of different benefits to magnesium. And it's just a lot of people take it before bed, and depending on the strain, I guess I'm going to call it, of magnesium. So I've taken it in peak sleep, like as a before bed type supplement from BPN. I just ordered a batch of pills, like of actual just like gel tabs to take for magnesium. I'm going to switch it up a little bit and add that in more consistently. So I'm definitely excited for that. And again, I'll share my reputable resources. If you want those, just message me. This is a big one, y'all, because sleep is a big one. It's not on my list, but that's what magnesium really helps support, is sleep and recovery. And it's like, as we want to get the most bang for our buck from our bodies, and sleep is so important as an athlete for recovery or just day to day, right? Less stress we need sleep. We've heard that too. That's been out and around for some time. So this magnesium will help us to get that sleep that we need so we can recover and fully support our days. All right, the third one is creatine. So this one is new to me as far as in the last, I would say no more than a year, less than that, honestly, when I really started to see it, especially for women, right? Because listen, I heard about creatine when I was 18 years old, 20 years ago, but it was really a focus on this being a supplement for men. Men would take this, not women. Like that is what essentially the industry and health and fitness, like creatine was basically for men, women, it would gain weight, like whatever. That's what I remember. And I'm not the only one. But now, last couple years, it's really popped up, and not just for lifters or strength athletes, but for endurance too. There has been incredible research, and also just more women who are hybrid athletes or who are lifting or who are doing ultras. So we have more data available to see how, and just like breaking barriers, right? Honestly, where it's like, this supplement probably has been used by women for 20 years, but like nobody was just shouting it out from the rooftops, and there wasn't all the research and support behind it. But now there is. So creatine, I've started taking this last 4 or 6 months myself, and really doing my own research on it. So I'm a fan now. I'm going to use it all this year and see what happens. And I'll definitely be sharing with you guys. But those three, y'all, creatine, especially for women, not just for men, but in general, magnesium and electrolytes. Okay. These three supplements, keep an eye out for, check into them in 2024, and message me if you want my resources on which ones of those I take, and any further resources, like I have some YouTubes and podcast videos I would recommend based on all those. Okay, let's keep moving along. We're getting there. Okay, that was number 4. Number 5 is less quick fix and more long game, more long term. So, what I mean by this is generally you see in our health and fitness industry, it's like, the 21 days, the 30-day challenges or workouts or whole 30 or, just these like quick fix type of workouts or challenges or diets, right? Like, God, that has just been the diet industry for so long. It's just like, lose weight fast. And listen, y'all, like, I get it. I get it. We all, as humans, want our results now, right? But I think we all know at this point, and if you don't, newsflash. But I think we all know at this point, in general, I'm not saying there aren't outliers, but in general, when we are working towards not just a goal to hit and then be like, well, check, I ran the marathon. But like, if you want to become a marathon athlete or somebody who qualifies for Boston, you don't just run one marathon. Like, your lifestyle becomes, I am a runner. I am someone who runs marathons. And from that point, that is a minimum 6-month journey to train for your first marathon. And then you're going to learn some lessons from that. And then you're going to have another race and you're going to train for that one. And you're going to probably have to figure out how to get your nutrition better and get a little bit faster. And then set another race 6 months from the line. You'll learn right there. And then most likely within a year to a year and a half is actually when you would just simply qualify for Boston, right? Or maybe you're faster than that and you're a quick learner and you've actually secretly been a runner all your life and it's a year. But do you see that still? Like, that is the long game. And then hopefully from there, you don't just like sit on your bottom after a year and a half of like running marathons. And you're like, well, I think I'm good on this whole working out running thing. Like, I'm just going to go back to the Netflix binging specials, like that was the life. No, like maybe then you're like, okay, I qualified for Boston and I ran, and then now I'm going to run Boston. And then after that, you're like, well, maybe I want to run an ultra. And that looks pretty fun and crazy. And then maybe you're like, where I'm at, and you're like, okay, now I want to switch it up and I want to lift and I want to start to really lift and become a hybrid athlete. Like, and you just keep going and going, right? You started with one little goal of like, I want to lose weight. I want to lose 20 pounds this year and maintain it, not just hit the goal and check the mark. Those days are gone. If you do not know that, I'm here to tell you that those days of just checking the mark are gone. We know this never serves us to simply say, now that doesn't mean you maybe don't do a race or have some fun challenge. Maybe you do have a 30-day challenge that helps. Like, I've done those and I encourage those if it's like, it is like an ignite and something to motivate us in between the long game. That's okay. Absolutely. Right. If you're like, hey, I just need a little something to pump me up, stay motivated, kind of get me off of my routine a little bit and challenge me, absolutely fucking do that. But don't just pick the challenge to then sit back on your butt after the challenge is over. That we know that does not work. Starting and stopping is like the worst thing to eventually reach your end goal and or to sustain it for life and or to get even better, right? So, less quick fix, more long-term, long game thinking. And what I mean by that even is minimum of 6 months. Like, minimum, you are giving yourself a minimum of 6 months to hit X goal. And in fact, that is like okay, this is my milestone marker, 6 months to do X. And then I'm going to give myself actually a whole year where I want to lose 20 pounds in those 6 months. I want to get some momentum there going. And I feel like I can do that. That's achievable. And then I want to run a marathon in the end of a year. And then I would even encourage having a 3-year goal of being like, I want to be somebody who's like, runs marathons, multiple ones a year. or is in the best shape of my life that I've ever been, right? So you have just this long-term vision outlook of your health and fitness goals. It's not just like, oh, I gotta willpower and rush and pressure my way into losing this 20 pounds as fast as I can and then do it in 3 or 6 months and then all life will be good. Yeah. Yeah. I promise y'all, some of y'all have tried that and it's not working. It's been 10 years of that, right? Instead of spending 3 years, a year, really keep going, keep going. 3 years, keep going, getting even better, getting even better. I've run ultra marathons for 10 years. Okay. And my first 100 miler, that was on year 9, right? I'd done a bunch of 50Ks, 40 miles, 50-mile race. And because I had kids and I knew what time and availability I had, I waited for that 100 miler until that 9th year. Well, I'd signed up for a couple, but they didn't work out because I didn't give myself the space of time that I needed, right? So finally, I knew when it was time. 9 years to run that first 100 miler. That's okay. So whatever it is for you, give yourself the space and grace. Think long term, okay? That's the trend moving forward. This is a long game. Okay, last one I'll share on that too is like my goals for this next year. I'm giving myself 14 months to get in the best shape of my life. And guess what? Even then, that becomes my new starting point for my entire next decade in my 40s. Like that's where my long-term game vision is at. I'm not just like, oh, let me get a 6-pack and get in the best shape of my life in like 3 months or like 6 months. That's fucking ridiculous. Okay. And I'm in shape. I am in shape. Most people by standards would be like, damn, right? I'll take that. I am in shape and I am still giving myself 14 months and an entire decade after that to maintain and get even better. Okay. So hopefully that helps, like give some insights and perspective. Like it's okay. Slow down, play the long game, and I promise you will win. Okay. Next. This next one is the trend is finding what works for you versus simply doing X cookie cutter plan. Okay. So you guys, I feel like in the industry, there's always the like Whole30s. There's probably like some keto plan out there. There is a book that says do XYZ just like this. Or there's the ultra running book that says, here's your plan, do XYZ to run an ultra, a marathon, whatever it is. And so I just like, there's a shift. If you guys haven't seen this or heard this, I want to open this up for you in that. And that's what coaching has opened up for me is like really realizing, and this is what I do with my clients, is like that it's not just about having X this perfect plan over here. This book is the magic pill saving grace. This plan that is ushered out to hundreds of thousands of people is going to work for me and my body and my life and how that works and the preferences that I have and the things that I enjoy. No, moving forward, I want you to own this, even if you're not seeing this everywhere. This is what I do with my clients. It's like, yes, I have all these guidelines from all my 15 years of being in the health and fitness industry. So I absolutely do know what works. And now I've got these guidelines, and we're going to take these guidelines and make it work for you. Right? That's where I said, like, okay, I'm not going to just tell everybody to eat 150 grams of protein a day and go do 4 workouts a week of strength training and drink 100 ounces of water. No, I'm going to give you the guidelines that tell you, okay, based on where you're at and where your starting point is and what you like to do and your lifestyle and your preferences, based on all of that, filtered through the guidelines, here is your plan. Let's start at 30 grams of protein for 3 meals. Let's start at 80 ounces of water. Let's start at 3 workouts of spin because that's what you like doing. and then walking once a week. Blah. That's what's, you honor you and your preferences, and you become the N of one, the experiment of one, instead of trying to copy paste every fucking like workout and, diet that is just spit out for like the masses. No more of that. Okay. The trend is moving forward. You can take bits, you can take from those guidelines to then create your plan. Okay. That is how you're going to see success moving forward, is more experimentation, more following what works for you, more listening to your body instead of fucking ignoring it, or instead of doing what everybody else tells you to do. Like, you really honoring and listening to where you're at in this particular year, in this season of life. And it's okay. So that, I want you to really start to follow that trend of honoring you instead of the fucking cookie cutter X plan that exists out there for, the masses. Okay. How you will get success is when you follow a plan that works for you. And so, for example, this is like, I have been an ultra runner for 10 years, right? Well, at the end of this last race in September, I could feel it deep in my soul, in my body, in my mind. Like, I was ready for something different. I was ready. It was just coming to me. It was like my intuition downloading to say like, okay, I don't actually have any races coming up at this point in time, and definitely not an ultra that I wanted to necessarily. If I do one in the fall, I may, but like that will be so total funsies. But like, I just felt I wanted to start from scratch. I wanted to build a base. I wanted to strength train 3 times to 4 times a week versus running 4 times a week. Still wanted to run, but just not nearly as much. I just felt this shift. Like, that is where I needed to go. That was my next season, my next year. I wanted to get faster at running anyway, instead of just putting in whatever miles. I wanted to get in the best shape of my life. That was downloaded to me over and over and over again. Now, versus some people, even, other athletes or people, we can get stuck in this, like, this is what I've been doing. I've been going to Orange Theory Fitness for years now. I've been a runner for, my whole life, or for years now, that we don't ever just kind of step back to pause and be like, what do I need or want right now? In this season right now, a lot of moms get this when they become a mom and they're like, shit, I can't do all these workouts and things that I used to do, right? Or you have a third kid and then life changes again, or you move, or whatever. Your preferences just change. So really pull back, honor, and evaluate what's going to work for you moving forward. That's the trend, is you. Okay. Last one, y'all. We made it through this. Okay. Last one is more self-care and more me focused, aka you focused. Like, Samantha is going to make sure she gets her workouts in, and she does take the time to eat healthy, and she does take that time for herself, versus the hustle, like putting all of the time and attention to work, to the kids, to our partner, to people pleasing, to everybody else and their mother. This whole like hustle of like, I don't have the time. I don't have the energy because it's all over here. Okay. And if you can't see me, I'm like totally like, I'm a hands mover kind of gal. So, in the video you can see, but in the podcast you can't. So like, all that bag of goods is over here where you're like, oh no, but I cannot take the time to work out, or to take care of my body, to go for a walk in the middle of the day, or to get some sunshine, or to fucking relax and take a break once in a while. No, I've got all these priorities of work, my kids, my partner, the house, all of that. And then like, all of that is the main big thing going on, versus like over here is just like me. Here's like on the other side, it's just like taking care of you. I'm going to swap that. So the biggest thing that we're focusing on, and the trend for 2024 moving forward, is you. You are the key to all the other stuff. And all the other stuff gets so much better, gets the best version of you, gets your best energy, your best work, all of the things when you take care of yourself and you do put yourself first. And you schedule in those workouts. You schedule in your coaching calls. You schedule in, I'm fucking off, not available for work after X time. Done. Boundaries. You make boundaries and keep them. You get up early for yourself. If you have kiddos and that's the time that you have to get your workout in and to do your journaling or whatever, you take your time, right? You ask for the support from your husband, your partner, your family, friends, whoever it is, to be able to get your workouts in, to not do all the household chores. You delegate that shit to other people on your team, or you decide I'm no longer available to do all these extra side projects that I don't even get fulfillment or don't get paid for, right? You are going to be the focus and the trend for 2024. Not everybody and their mother and this whole bag of like that always gets your attention and your priorities first. The trend is now, I want you to see is you. You are the fucking like, you are the fire that allows everything else to be better when you take care of you first. Okay. So more self-care time, more you focused, less hustle, hustle, hustle. I don't barely have any time for me. And I'm so run down. I'm so overwhelmed and I'm so exhausted. Fuck that shit. Leave that in 2023. Okay. You just like throw it on back there. Okay. And 2024 and moving forward, you're going to focus on boundaries, on self-care, on doing the things that you know for you are going to make you the best version of yourself. And guess what? Everything, when you are the best self, everything else gets that. Do you see that? Right? So that is the last one. That is the last trend. Okay. So let's just do a quick little recap. This is a longer episode we've had in a minute, but it's really important. I wanted you guys to really like hear and hopefully take in, if not one of these, several of these to consider as you're working towards your 2024 goals, as you're going into this year. These are things, again, being in the industry, I'm always reading a book, listening to podcasts, working with other professionals to really have these as like, this is what's going on moving forward. So number one was protein, more of it. Okay. Number two was strength training, especially for my ladies, finding some way to start and add that in. We don't have to go, 3-4 days a week to start, just start somewhere with it. Okay. And find what works for you. Number three was mental health. Really a focus on this being just as important as the physical stuff, like this being something that we take care of too and add into our healthy routines. Number four is supplements, specifically electrolytes, magnesium, and creatine, especially creatine for women. Okay. Number five, less quick fix and more long-term, long game thinking when it comes to goals. Minimum of 6 months. Ideally, that's like your milestone. And then it's a year plus that you're thinking about where you want to be and your health and fitness goals. Okay. Number six is finding what works for you versus some X cookie cutter plan to just simply follow along. Finding what works for you in all the different areas. Check in, become an N01, experiment to find what does work. And finally, number seven, more self-care time, more about you doing the things to take care of you first, and the hustle and all the other things that have been a priority in life. Let those come. Let those, when you take care of you, let all of that become so much easier, so much more productive, so much more joy when you take care of you first. So less fucking hustle, more you and self-care focused. Those are the trends for 2024, y'all. Okay. So if you have questions on these, if you need additional resources on these, you can hit me up. Okay. And in general, if you're like, Okay, Samantha, I hear you. I've also been seeing some of these trends, or I've heard of them already, and they kind of been on my list. I do want to start strength training more. I do want to add in electrolytes. I do want to eat more protein, but I just don't know how to put it together. I need some accountability. I need some support. I need an actual plan. And if you were left to your own, like you were, like that is what coaching is for. When we work together in coaching, whether it's one-on-one or the group coaching, you're going to have a plan specifically for you that you get to follow. And every single week we check in to see what's working, what's not working, what are we going to do different, right? Every single week you get to check in on. So we really make this a plan for you, and we go over all the things that life happens and brings to us, right? And any of these questions that come up in between when you're like, oh, shoot, this happened and now this didn't work. Or I didn't get all my workouts in. We're like, well, why didn't you? Let's look at that and see what's really going on. So if you are like, yes, I hear you, I want to start doing some of these things, then use the link in the show notes to book your not coaching call, to book your consult call, and we will figure out whether one-on-one or group coaching is for you, if any of it's for you in general. But book your call and you can start to get results this year. We will start to apply some of these trends, if not all of them, so you can actually see results in 6 months, in a year, and beyond from now. Okay, you guys, I will talk to you again soon. Bye.